Well, hi today. Hi, everyone. It's great that you're joining me. I'm your host, Michelle McLean, for Top Industry Professionals, the TIP International Radio podcast, where we showcase prestigious top professionals from all industries all over the globe to share their experiences and stories of success with us. I'm very excited to introduce to you today our guest. And she's joining us all the way from Israel. She's dedicated over 3 decades of her career to psychology, mental health, and counseling. She has held positions as a teacher, counselor, working in a crisis center. But then she realized that these techniques she learned as an educator were not enough to help people on a profound level. So here to share her story with us, please welcome Dr. Eleanor Avinor, and of course, joined with her today is Joanne Yonasilma. Thank you for being with us today.
We are so happy that you invited us. Thank you very much.
Now, Dr. Avinor, the first question is for you. You have demonstrated success in all positions that you've ever held. So please tell us a little bit about your journey and what got you into this field. Was it always something that you wanted to do?
I was always interested in psychology and psychotherapy and counseling, even when I was working as a school teacher, a school counselor, and a university teacher. Eventually, I began working with pictures because words were not enough. And together with my business partner, Joanne Silman, we developed KEG cards, Keys to Emotional Growth. These are original pictures with guiding questions to help the individual understand himself or herself better, to gain insights, to function better, and to be emotionally healthier and happier. Then we decided to develop an app. The pictures worked so well that we decided we want everybody to be able to use them. And so we decided that it would be better if it were on the computer or on the smartphone, and then anybody would be able to use them. We called the app KEG Cards, from KEG Cards, and we called it KEG for All. So KEG or Keys to Emotional Growth for All. Keys to Emotional Growth for All. And Joanne can tell you more about it.
So now, after almost 4 years since we decided to create the app, we're ready to launch it for receiving feedback, and we're very excited about it. During these years, we first focused on the needs of the population and the customers, and then we designed and developed the app cycle by cycle, very slowly in baby steps.
Wow, Joanne and Dr. Avinor, you have had a very, very exciting journey, very inspirational indeed. And you are in the similar position, right, of working alongside many high-level functionaries, heads of state, government ministers, CEOs in the private sector. So what do you feel has been one of your greatest challenges when it comes to this?
Well, the biggest challenge was to take a concept, an abstract concept, and to make it reality, to make it a practical reality, to really use it and make people, give people access to it. Also, having people understand the potential that KEG for All could bring to people all over the world. We think it's a way of overcoming loneliness, sadness, and understanding how they could improve their emotional well-being and happiness by just choosing pictures and answering questions and thinking about it. I would suggest to other entrepreneurs, never give up. Don't ever give up. There's nothing like perseverance because we had many challenges along the way.
And I would like to add that we continue working in small cycles, receiving feedback, analyzing the feedback, deciding what to do, and then refining our conclusions and what we should do next. And in this cycle, from one cycle to the next, we got improvements and we grew and we developed our both ourselves, both personally and professionally. And during this period, we also studied for our MBA at the Technion. We felt we need to learn more about business management. And since Eleanor came out from the field of psychotherapy and I came from the engineering, so we completed our MBA in these years also. So we want to tell anybody that wants to continue on and grow, study, and learn. It's an endless journey with a lot of adventures and a lot of interest in various stages and in various fields, each one to their own.
Gosh, I mean, that is just crazy inspirational that you, as busy as you are, and you still go and do MBAs and study. So that's wonderful advice for anyone in your field who wants to really get further, right?
Give up and keep studying all the time.
Keep progressing, keep learning. Did you see a real, since COVID, a real upswing of mental illnesses in society?
Yes, people are very lonely and they have anxieties and they're afraid of other people. They're afraid of contact. And people just don't have the same security they used to have.
Yeah, that's very true. Security about their future, but also the what I found with a lot of people that I move around in the entertainment industry is almost like a fearfulness of being sick. You know, like when is the next wave going to hit? So how do you deal with that with individuals to try and reduce their anxiety?
Well, first of all, many people have a fear of death and they never dealt with it.
Don't we all?
Exactly. And it's also connected to their self-image and their lack of security in general. So what I usually do with them is they choose pictures that express or show or represent how they feel. And then after choosing the picture, I have questions for them about the picture. And these guiding questions lead them to understand what's going on inside of them, what's happening to them, what really motivates them. I often ask them, what does the picture remind them of from their early childhood? Or who does it remind them of? Or when they choose a picture, for instance, I have a man who's drowning and everybody's watching, but nobody's helping him. So if they choose that picture, I say, why did you choose the picture? How do you feel when you look at the picture? And if you were in the picture, who would you be? And sometimes they would be the person watching, and sometimes they would be the person drowning. And I also have a sun there, and instead of a sun, I made a big eye. I drew a big eye. I draw pictures from the clinic, and these are the pictures that people choose, and they choose what picture touches them. And so by talking about the picture, they can get to their inner self and their inner problems, their inner child, and it helps them to express and to understand themselves.
So I'm curious to know then, when a person chooses the person in the water drowning as opposed to watching, what is the indication of that?
Well, I ask the person, how do you feel as that person? What do you tell yourself? What are you telling yourself? What does the adult part of you say? So say if I'm the person watching, my adult side says I should help. Why don't I do something? So then I ask, have you ever been in a situation when you saw somebody in trouble and you didn't help? And sometimes they come up with a story about it. Or I ask them, what would you do if you could do anything? If you could do anything you wanted to, what would you do? And so some say, I would jump in the water and save him. I would bring him back to the shore and I'd bring him back to life so he won't drown. Some people will say, I don't want to help because nobody ever helped me. So they suddenly get to where their inner feelings are, what motivates them. And they get to things that they never thought about before in their personality.
That's really incredible because a lot of people internalize that and don't really become self-aware of what is driving them.
There's also another aspect here. According to transactional analysis, we have a superego, or a part that is like our parent, that tells us you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And it has the guilt feelings, it has the critical parent. We call it the parent part. And then they also have an adult part, which is the reality testing part and helps them deal with reality. And then they have the child part, which has in it an inquisitive child, a curious child, a little professor, a child that is very needy, do for me, help me, always do for me. The child that's jealous. There's all sorts of parts to this child. And so when a person talks about the picture they chose, I usually ask them, where are you coming from when you talk about it? What are you feeling? Are you coming from your adult part, or your parent part, or your child part? And suddenly they get to realize that they have different parts, and they can control their adult part. And they can use their adult part to control the child part. And so this helps them also understand themselves better.
That is truly fascinating and wonderful work that you're doing. And besides this work, you are very active in the community, in different societies. Tell us a little bit about your philanthropy work and how you're paying it forward.
Well, I have always had several clients in psychotherapy who couldn't pay. So sometimes I didn't ask for any money, but then I realized they didn't really get better. In other words, people have to pay. If they don't pay something, they feel it's not worth anything. So then I realized they have to pay something. So I let them pay a symbolic sum, and they can choose how much to pay. For instance, I have single mothers who are alone with children who either don't work or work part-time, and they really don't have any money. So I asked them, how much could you pay, or how much would you like to pay? And so they come up with any price they want, $1 a session, $2 a session, $50 a session. I really don't argue with them. And that's the amount of money they pay. Some people say, I'll give you an IOU and I'll give you the money in another 5 years when I'm earning more. So I say, fine. But they have to feel that they're paying something. They shouldn't feel that it's a present.
Right.
They have to feel it's something they're earning and they're working for it. And then they work in the psychotherapy. They make an effort. Also, during the corona, Joanna and I were asked to prepare and teach a course in India for psychotherapists in India who didn't have a chance to get supervision. They had finished their studies, their practical study, their theoretical studies, but they didn't have a chance to work with supervision. And so the government or the university asked us to please prepare a course for them and teach it. And so Joanna and I worked every weekend, a Friday and a Saturday, or a Saturday and a Sunday, and we prepared a 6-month course for psychotherapists and social workers, and we taught it via Zoom because we didn't go to India in the corona. And the counselors and psychotherapists and social workers effectively worked with their clients using us as supervision and using the course as a background. I also found out that they didn't study all the kinds of psychotherapy. In psychotherapy, we have many more schools of psychotherapy and many techniques. And what happens is in some schools, they teach one particular type or technique, and all the social workers there use that, or all the counselors. And they don't realize that there's many more other kinds of psychotherapy, and different people at different times in their life and in different situations need a different type of psychotherapy. And so what we did first is give them an overview using Zoom and using PowerPoints. And we prepared pictures, lots of pictures, so it should be interesting. And we did a quick view of all the different kinds of psychotherapy. And each time we talked about a type of psychotherapy, we brought examples. And then they brought examples from the people they were meeting. And so that's how we did the supervision with them, with their clients. So it's important for us that anybody who wants to help in understanding themselves and their behavior can get such help. And that's why Cake for All is so important for us. An appropriate app could help a large number of people. all over the world in many countries to improve their emotional lives. And my vision is, our vision is, that the world will be a less violent place if people could go to their smartphone every time they got upset and they want to kill somebody or shoot somebody, and have a virtual best friend who they could tell everything to. This virtual best friend would listen to them, and by the questions help them understand their anger and other negative feelings. And they can choose any picture they want, and they can choose different pictures. And we have many, many pictures, most of which I drew from the clinic. Most pictures show different people and their problems. And every psychotherapist would have access to this app and could use it as an addition to his regular sessions, his or her regular sessions, maybe use it as homework, maybe use it instead of a phone call. And that would be homework for clients and people who can't get to a psychotherapist. Either they don't have the money or they don't have the time or there aren't enough psychotherapists, could use this app as help. So we really hope that Cake for All in the world would help people so that the world would be a more peaceful place.
I think that's absolutely beautiful, and it certainly could work and help here in America, in our society, with all the, as you say, someone picks up a gun just because they're frustrated or they don't have the help that they need. So that's brilliant work that you're doing. Now, throughout your illustrious career, Dr. Avinor, you have won numerous awards, honors, and featured in magazines. This year, you were featured in IAOTP's Top 50 Fearless Leaders. Last year, you were honored at IAOTP's Annual Awards Gala at the Bellagio Hotel for your selection as Most Influential Psychotherapist of the Year. And you received IAOTP's Lifetime Achievement Award. You were also featured on the famous Planet Hollywood billboard on the Las Vegas Strip, and you were honored at the Plaza Hotel. You graced the front cover of Tip magazine. Wow, so many achievements. Congratulations, very impressive and very inspirational and deserving. But what would you say is the highlight of your career or the most memorable experience that you've ever had?
The most memorable experience is when people come back to me, families that I met in the clinic. I used to work in a clinic. Families that came to the clinic, the parents and the children, and then when these children grow up before they get married, they come to me with their girlfriends or boyfriends saying they want a few sessions because they want their marriage to be good. Right. So it's very exciting. In other words, they remember the childhood meetings, they remember how it added to their lives, and they want to base their marriage, their new marriage, on something positive.
That's wonderful. It must be so fulfilling each day to go into your day and know that you are helping somebody get through a crisis, or even if it's a small obstacle, but just something that pushes people through to the most positive, being that they can be. So that's incredible. Now, talking about that, both of you, obviously, you're so busy, but do you have hobbies? Do you do anything for fun?
Yes, let's let Joanne talk about it.
We love doing good time with our family, with our friends, with our hobbies. Each one of us has their own hobbies, and we have mutual hobbies. For instance, we love playing bridge with the family. And when all of us get around together, we can have a few tables of bridge with the little children and the medium children and the grown-ups. And it's really nice to be together, to go out to vacations with all the family. And obviously, we like also other things like reading books, watching television series. I think the most important thing is to manage your time, because we have a certain number of hours a day, and we need to decide what is most important for us and not let time leak away, then we didn't know what we did with it. So it needs to be very calculated. It's a very important resource. And if you calculate and use it properly, then you can manage to do a lot of things in your daytime and nighttime.
Well, that's very good advice, certainly. But for each of you, Joanne and for Dr. Avinor, what do you see yourselves achieving in the next, say, 2 years, 5 years?
We're working now on the app, and we expect it, we hope it will become something that everybody in the world would use. And every psychotherapist or social worker would have it in their office and be able to help somebody find their virtual best friend. The people the world over would use it. When you asked the question about impressive experiences, I thought for a minute about the billboard in New York where my picture was there. That was very exciting for me personally. And when you asked about hobbies, I love my family and playing with my grandchildren and having a lot of fun, going places, traveling, meeting people. And I love the workshops that we do. In every workshop, we meet new people, interesting people. And there's also lots of surprises in the workshops. Things happen that we never expected. Like suddenly a woman will start talking about being pregnant and saying she doesn't know if she should have an abortion or not. Out of the blue. Or somebody suddenly says, I'm not very happy in my marriage. I only realized it when I chose this picture. Maybe I should get a divorce. And they start talking about the idea of getting a divorce. It's very interesting. People suddenly get insights and want to talk about it and want to work on it. And so that's very exciting.
And I want to add that sometimes we meet people a year or two after they have been in a workshop, and they still remember the impact of the workshop on their lives. And they show us some anchoring item, a picture they had, or something that keeps their memory on, and it keeps them going in the right direction they would like to go to. So if I think about a few years ahead, I would like every person have a tool that they can go to whenever they feel frustrated, upset, sad, lonely, and they can work on themselves with this app and feel much better. And then how will the world work and be if there was much less anger, much less frustration, much less hatred? Would be a different world.
Absolutely. Well, now that we've been able to spend time with you, I've never been to Israel, so that's one of my bucket list travels. I love to travel as well. So I'd definitely come and visit you and have a cup of tea or a glass of wine. I don't know what you love to celebrate with in Israel, but I've heard so many beautiful things about it. And so thank you for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you at our next IAOTP event. But how do anybody who wants to reach out to you, how would they go about that?
Joanne, you want to tell them?
So we have a site for keg cards, which is www.kegcards.biz, B-I-Z, and that's for the cards. And we have for the app, www.kegforall.com. And there's Eleanor's email, which is elenav@research.haifa.ac.il. Elenav,
ELEANAV at research.haifa.ac.il.
and there's my phone number that is also in WhatsApp. It's +972 505 642 642.
Wonderful.
So different ways to communicate with us.
Absolutely. We'll also share this information, but anybody who's out there listening today or watching this podcast, please feel free to reach out to Dr. Avinor and of course to Joanne. And thank you both for joining us today. We'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Also, you can Google us.
And we're also on LinkedIn.
Oh, wonderful. We'll definitely find you. Thank
Okay,
you. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.